Hi there, this is Alvin, and welcome to the Kickstart Commerce podcast, where we share search marketing and domain investing strategies to help grow your business. In today's episode, our guest is none other than Aishwin Vikhona, author of Selling Domains Fast, global domain investor and developer, and a serial entrepreneur, having founded eWriter.com, BulkWhoIsFinder.com, ThemesFinder.com, and CallTaggerApp.com, just to name a few. So today, Aishwin and I discuss critical advantages and disadvantages as a global domain investor, domain investing in India, the world's fastest growing major economy, his multi-pronged domain buying and selling strategy, as well as recent domain sales and negotiation tactics. So with that, Aishwin, thank you for joining us today, and welcome.
Hey, Edwin. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. So to kick things off, you and I, we met for the first time back in, what was it? NamesCon 2018. So we had a chance to chat together and I guess kind of share notes about what one another was doing. I think at the time I was doing domain leasing and of domains as well as websites, which I've kind of gotten away from just a little bit. But then you as well, I'm getting to learn more about you as a person, as a domain investor, and then the business and the team that you're building there in India. So, to kick things off, let's share with the listeners a bit about yourself, who you are, your professional and personal background.
Hey, my name is Aishwin Vikhona. I have, I'm been in the city in Aurangabad. It's in the western part of India, from my birth. I've completed my master's in and I'm pursuing my MBA, and I'm into domain name investing since about 2012. I'm running an IT startup here, working on domains.
Nice. So then, how in the world did you get introduced? Obviously, living in India, how did you get introduced into domain investing, brokering, and development?
So back in the year 2011, I was working with some IT companies in Pune as a business development person, and since I was into this web design, web development industry, uh, someone reached out to me asking if they could help me get some domain name, and I was literally wondering why would having a domain name is so difficult. And that's when I was introduced. I was trying to find some possible alternatives for that domain, for the domain, but I really couldn't find any. And I dived deeper. I went to GoDaddy. I started searching everywhere, uh, and that's where I was introduced. And I really liked the idea of not being able to buy a domain that you really wanted, and then that scarcity got me more interested.
Wow. So were they looking for a .com domain, or was it a .in?
It was my uncle, and was a .com domain they were looking for.
Oh,
And since they know that I've completed my bachelor's in IT and I was working in an IT company, they thought I am the best person to reach out.
nice. So through a little serendipitous moment with family, then you got into domain investing.
Right.
Nice. So then, in terms of what you're doing today, so you said that you got involved, I believe, in 2012, and so obviously living in India. I mean, what is that like as a domain investor to be investing? Because for the most part, like for myself, I live here in the U.S., so oftentimes like auctions and everything are based on either Pacific Standard Time, which is only 2 hours difference. But for you, that's quite a bit of a time zone jump in terms of hours. So how does being a global domain investor, impact your life?
That's that's actually something, uh, since since the auction timings are little late. I have to be up till 3, 4 in the morning to continue bidding in the auction and keeping a check on all the domains that I want to secure that day, every day. And other than this,
Wow.
I also do outreach and outbound. So at times I have to talk to some clients explaining the value of this exact match domain. I have to be up because most of the time the clients are from US.
Wow. So I mean, you're technically a night owl then. I mean, for
Initially I didn't like it, but eventually I was so excited about bidding and securing a domain that it just came naturally to me. I really loved it more
wow.
than yeah.
Now is that normal in terms of, I mean, obviously it's normal for you as a domain investor, but then I know that you have a team of people. Like, how is that a normal way of life for someone who lives in the region of India?
Yep, there are so many people working with night shifts, right? So yeah, that way it's very common.
Mm. So you're sleeping for most of the day, and then up at night to do business.
Yep, I'm normally like sleep at 3:34 and I get up by 11 in the morning.
Wow.
So yeah. So,
And so, like, how many team members? Because is it just you by yourself, or I think?
right now, buying is just kept with me,
Okay.
and all the domains that I buy, it's all with me only. My team members are not much; they are about 7, 8 people, and they are all more into outreach and outbound. We have developed some in-house softwares
Okay.
which helps us find exact buyer, exact company who could be interested in the domain name, and they reach out to them using social media and emails.
Wow. So then, what would you say are the pros and cons in terms of like living in India as a domain investor? Let's go with the pros first. Like, what's good about being a global domain investor living in India?
I think you get to stay with your family.
Hmm.
Second is you have like since it's cheaper to
Yeah.
have people hire people here and to work with them as compared to in US.
Right.
That's another benefit that I see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then,
And
are there any others that you look and go, hey, most domain investors don't necessarily have this advantage that I have?
yeah, so I know a lot of domain investors myself, and they have I have literally helped them with outreach services and things like that because it's far much like uh, because I have this benefit, right?
Right, right. So you're able to actually. So then the in-house systems that you've built, then you're actually helping other people.
Yes.
Ah,
So the software bulk OS finder was developed at in-house to to help to find who is information in bulk for domains.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
So then, in terms of, so I mean, do you find it a benefit in terms of, because I think it isn't, what is it, Domain X? Isn't that a conference that's hosted?
Yes.
So
Yes. S-
yeah, so
So
where's it hosted? Hosted
yeah.
on?
So in 2014, there's this Manmeet Pal Singh that he started this domain conferences, and I did attend his first conference. It always used to happen in Delhi. Every year it happens in Delhi in August. And
And about how far is that from you where you live?
if you take a flight about 2 hours, one
So
hour,
not
one, yeah,
not bad. So it's like for
yeah.
me, probably flying from Austin to Houston, or from Austin well,
Mm,
actually
no,
a little further.
but if you drive, it takes 2 days
Oh,
or three
really?
days. Yeah, so it's really if you take a train, it takes about 24 hours.
Wow.
So yeah,
So it's
so
better to
flight is better.
hop a plane.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how many conferences do you attend? Because I know, so you said Domain X is one, but then do you attend any of the others, like in Europe or
Yeah, so
any here?
there is one more conference in India that is very active. It's Domaining India, Domaining. So every year these two conferences happen in India, and I mostly attend this conference. In India, any domain conference, I think it's very easy for me to hop in and go check. So I do that. And most of the times I'm invited as a speaker to talk on domains and how my experience had been so far. And apart from this, I attend NamesCon and on the global scale. So
Right.
been attending this in Las Vegas. That's the
So
only one.
so let me ask you this. So that's an interesting thing. So you said that there are two conferences. One of them started in 2014, and then
Yeah.
when did the other start?
There was also in 2014 only, like 2014, 15, same time, you know?
Okay, so same time
Yeah.
frame. So
Yes,
then
yes.
with these, I guess, new conferences emerging, then I mean, what is domaining like, domain investing in India like? Obviously, and I'm saying that from a standpoint of going, hey, you have these two conferences that are birthed. So is India actually seeing an influx of new or next generation domain investors?
I see. Since I've written this book also on the same topic, Sell Domains Fast is the book, which is also on Amazon. Uh, I keep seeing a lot of new people joining domain industry, and I'm also I'm part of a lot of WhatsApp and Telegram groups on domains, and and I keep seeing, a lot of new beginners from India joining these groups, buying good domains, and they're also selling them. I see them selling them in Afternic and Dan, and they are reporting it on the groups. This sold for this, that sold for that. So this has lately started to happen in the last 2 years, and I see a good growing domain investors every year. When I see attend conferences, and
Gotcha. And so it's interesting because, when we think about, so India, like I said, I mean, it's one of the world's fastest growing major economies. And so when you begin to think about that, only, I believe, what is it, like 19 to 20% of the people are online, but yet, how many people, I guess, what's the population of India? I think it's, what is it?
it's about 1.5 billion or so.
Right. And so when you think, if you juxtapose to the US and the number of people that are online, I think we have something like 87%, 88% people that are utilizing the internet space, if you will, versus India, who's only using, like I said, I think it's somewhere like 19, 20%. And so there is exponential growth an opportunity there. And so it begs to wonder in terms of, like you said, I think you're starting to see an influx of new people in there in terms of next generation of domain investors. Now, are you seeing more domain investors investing in the CCTLD for India, which is .in, or is it .com, .co, or what extensions are you seeing?
In India, as particular, I've seen a lot of businesses have started, buying .in and .com domains in India. So, like, if I were to compare the last 1 year, everywhere I go, I see everyone having their website name on their business cards or on hoardings or on, like, yeah, everywhere. And this has started to happen in mostly in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, so if I were to compare the last 3 years in India, 3, 4 years ago, my parents didn't had an online. They were not online on phone. They were not very active on WhatsApp and things like that. But eventually I could see them, using WhatsApp, joining groups, sending messages. And now, they also have cab app for cab, like something like Uber, and they are able to book online. And no, not just with my parents, but my relatives and my friends, and to everyone I could see that they are pretty much not related or connected to internet. I see them, getting online, having Facebook, having Twitter, and everything like that. So in the last 3-4 years, the usage of internet in India has grown rapidly. The startups have started to come in with different extensions. That has grown. If you open Times of India, local newspaper here, Saturday, Sunday, you see so many people broadcasting their website name with ads. Everyone is sharing their .coms and .ins on the newspaper, which gives you an idea where it's going.
Right, right. Which is like I said. I mean, I think it's interesting in and of itself because with the digital transformation that's taking place and how folks there in India are embracing. I guess you'd say a digital lifestyle of using apps. So this leads to the big question of, are you starting to? I'm assuming that you're starting to see more and more startups that are coming online there in India.
That's right. I see them every day. So many new startups emerging on different, offering e-commerce services for so many other products that were not there before.
Gotcha. So, what would you say is purchased more? Is it the .in or the .com, or are they both about the same?
I think it's both about the same. I've been like, people reach me, many startup founders have reached me, asking me to help them acquire this domain. And I've seen them having .in and .com, combination of both. And if they want .in me to be primary, the .com is either redirected to .in or vice versa.
So then they are making an attempt to purchase both
Yes.
versus the one. Now, obviously, I mean, there are probably situations to where, you can't get the .com, or you can get the .in, but you can't get the .com. And then likely it could probably be vice versa as well.
Uh-huh. In fact, I have also sold some good domains to Indian buyers for $4,000-5,000 range.
Really? And,
Yeah,
are those .ins and .coms, or?
.in also and .com also, both.
Gotcha. Now,
Yeah.
I guess in terms of, I guess there's what, a little bit over, I think when I last looked at the stats, it was something like 2.5 million .in domain registrations. Obviously, that pales in comparison to where .com is. But then in terms of just domain growth, I mean, are you seeing more and more investors there locally beginning to sell .in names and invest in .in names, or is that not the case, or is there anything that prohibits that growth?
Basically, .in domains have a lot of potential in India, because much more than co.in. So they are in the CCTLD. There are two extensions in India. It's .in and .co.in. And I've seen .in much more popular than .co.in. You can see this by, even if you go and check .co.in, you'll see a lot of good names are still available in .co.in, which pretty much tells that people are more inclined towards .in. But if you look at as an investor point of view, the registry in India prohibits selling .in domains publicly.
Really?
Yep. So that's why you
Huh.
cannot see a .in or a .co.in domain on GoDaddy, Afternic, places like that. So if you are a registrar of a .in extension, you cannot resell that extension. That's why you see this domain selling on Sido, but you don't see this extension selling on GoDaddy.
Interesting. That is interesting. So then that tilts the table a little bit in terms of likely more domain investors, I guess, going after more of the legacy TLDs than like .com, .net, .org there in India, right?
Right. So me personally, have not invested much in .in domains. Basically, this being the reason. Um
Now, do you foresee that changing in the future, or?
I'm waiting for something like that to happen, because I still got a lot of good domain opportunities in .in, but I was reluctant to invest more because of these reasons. Because the exposure is very limited. Because a lot of registrar sites are not letting me promote it.
Wow.
I cannot even, if I put a sales lander page, I cannot even say that this domain is for sale.
Oh, wow.
I can
Wow.
say contact us, or get in touch or something like that, but not say that's for sale.
Interesting. And so then, I mean, do you like I said, it's one of those things of going. Obviously, that limits the exposure of that extension. Um, I would say to locals there, but even within there, it's kind of one of those things of I'm like, well, if they open it up, to me, it sounds like, and I'm like, hey, you could probably make a lot more money if you opened it up, and
Right,
so
right.
it's
In,
it's kind of one of those things of going, well, why is it prohibited in the first place?
yeah.
That's an
So
interesting.
yeah. In fact, I'll tell you. I'll add on to this. A very good friend of mine and a fellow domain investor, Indupal, he is one of the largest domain investors investing in .in domains, and he is from US. And
Really?
yeah, and he recently sold a domain called Dukan.in for $18,000.
So what's the translation?
Dukan in India means shop or store.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
in
a
Hindi language, it means yeah, it's a Hindi version of Dukan, of shop and store. Yeah.
huh. So that's interesting. And you said that was a .in or a .com that he sold.
That's a .in, Dukan.in. That sold for 18,000.
Interesting. Now, are you seeing, I guess, a cross where it's, so where it's Hindi.com, so it's a Hindi
Uh,
word, or are you seeing any of those sales or sites that are popping up?
Yeah, they have always been there. So in India, the Hindi word is also very popular. Example, if I'm looking for a job, there is a website called Naukri.com. It means jobs. In the Hindi word of jobs is Naukri. It's very popular in India. If I want to get married, Shadi.com is very popular in India. It means marriage.
Interesting. So I guess I mean that's yet a whole. I mean that's kind of peeling back the onion for me in a way because I'm looking and going, I don't know Hindi, don't speak Hindi, but at the same time I'm going, man, there is a whole new world then of likely single and double word or phrased .com domains that likely can be invested in as well as developed
That's right. Yep.
versus the traditional, or rather I say in most cases, and most of domain investors are thinking, um, they don't necessarily think of a foreign language, um, in terms of mixing that with a .com, but interesting. So in terms of, so kind of moving on here, so in terms of let's talk a little bit about your I guess your multi-pronged domain buying and selling strategy. And so you've you got started, so I guess you do a number of things. Just even in us talking, I remember, you talked a little bit about the hand reg, you talked a little bit about buying uh, closeouts, you're bidding on expiring domains. So kind of help me understand, like, what is your strategy for buying and selling domains?
Okay, so as a domain name investor, anyone who is getting started, it's a good idea to start with hand registrations, domains that are available and you want to buy them, hand reg. So,
Really?
but I have invested in all the three sections. Tier one is the domains that you can easily buy for under $10, under $100. So I have domains that I buy from handreg. There are domains that I buy from closeout, that are at auctions. There are domains that I buy at auctions, and then finally I buy premium category domains that I negotiate and buy.
So then, in terms of, so kind of what's your first thought? Is it to like quick flip a domain, or is it you see a domain and go, hey, I think I can actually develop that, or this is a long term hold? Like, kind of what goes through your mind as to what comes first for
Okay,
you?
so the strategy is really simple for me to buy exact match keyword domains, mostly in .coms, and doing outreach, outbound, and selling them. To give you an example, this week I sold a domain called floridamoldInspection.com.
Wait, you so what? Say that again.
Florida mold
A,
inspection.com.
a 3-word.com. Okay, Florida
Yeah,
mold inspection,
yeah.
and you sold
Uh,
it.
for about 3,400 or 3,600. 1 second.
Okay,
I think, yeah, 3,400.
gotcha. And then how long? I guess from the time that you purchased to the time to
About
sell.
200 days.
200. Man, that's not bad. Actually, yeah, because I think thinking back, I believe it was Paul Nix from GoDaddy that actually alluded in his presentation at, I want to say, this past NamesCon 2019. In one of his presentations, he says that it was taking on average of like 400 days. So, I mean, you cut that in half. That is not bad. And so, so explain that. So, you saw Florida mold inspection. Like, did you do any like real time research before buying it, or?
Yes. So when you start buying, I look for what kind of exact searches the term has, what kind of CPC it has, and if I'm able to Google this term, what do I see? And if are there any good businesses around it?
So
So
you did all of that kind of real time, just kind of weighing and saying, okay, is it worth um bidding on this name? And
correct.
then how do you determine where the cutoff is of, well, hey, this name is only worth $100, $200, $300. How do you determine that?
Number one is the industry, the mold inspection industry as a whole. How is that doing? How much per lead in that niche go? That is a good indicator of the price. Second is you can also do a math of number of searches into CPC,
Hmm.
what kind of number you get. And number three is the comparable sales. So if you go to namebio.com and type mold in it or mold inspection in it, what kind of sales you have seen around it.
Wow. So now, do you ever take into consideration of saying, hey, or have you ever experienced a situation, obviously with FloridaMoldInspection.com, you sold that name, but have you ever done, I guess, any other geo service name to where you purchased the name, but you didn't sell it? Now, have you ever thought about, or have you ever developed that name into like a site to possibly get it ranking, to possibly try to get lead generation service, or even flip the whole domain and site to another business?
I really thought of doing something like that. Example, I have manhattanlocksmiths.com. So I was thinking to set up a lead generation via site from that space and bring more leads for locksmiths. But since I'm more of a domain name investor and not, my focus was getting disturbed. So I let that idea go for a particular while. But I'm planning to come back with it in 2020 to pick quality domains which has good traffic and good potential to convert into lead generation sites to do that and sell them or rent them.
Gotcha. So then, in terms of your process, so really then, how, at least how you got started, I said, so was it that you got started with hand registrations, or was it that you got started with the expired domain auctions, or was it a bit of both?
I started with hand registrations and
Okay.
then I moved to closeouts. Okay. With this, I was able to get some good income coming in, sales. And with the sales, I decided to get my hands into quality premium domains that are above 5,000 to $50,000 range,
Oh
between
wow.
5,000. Yeah. So in fact, in my initial time in 2013, 2014, I once had 10 plus 3-letter.coms with me.
Really?
Yep. So I have bought and sold a lot of 3-letter.coms, about 25 plus easily,
And
20
and,
plus easily.
and
Yeah.
across what extensions? Is that
Three
.com?
letter 3-letter.coms.
Oh,
Three
.com.
letter. Yeah. Um, like YOT.com is with me still.
Hmm.
VMR.com is still with me. And
So YOT, VMR.
VJL.com is with me. VKH.com is with me.
Interesting.
And 2000, back in the time 2013, I used to outreach, these end users, and would ask them if they want to sell it. And I have bought them for $7,000, $8,000, and was able
Okay.
to flip them for 15,000 when the market was really high,
Gotcha.
16,000, 20,000.
So then you're okay. So you're buying hand registrations, then flipping them for a considerable amount. So let's just, I'll take a hypothetical example here. So you come in, you're buying domains from anywhere $10 to $15. You're likely flipping them. Let's just say anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000. And but when you're flipping them, then you're just using the proceeds from the flip then to kind of sit on that cash and then go after, I guess. And when you say premium, I'm assuming you're meaning one word domains, or the like you said, the 2 character or 2 letter, 3 letter um domains.
That's correct. I
Okay.
decided, yeah. So eventually, I started buying these quality domains. So the steps were this only: buying domains from Handrich and close out, selling them, making money, and using that money to buy premium domains where you don't have to outreach anymore. So that
Huh.
people reach out to you. With quality domains, people reach out to you. With
Right.
Handrich, you have to go to them. So so I am sitting on very high quality domains like YOT, um, ST, and domains like that, and letting an inquiry come in and trying to negotiate and making a sale. Example, I sold CO.net for $100,000. Uh,
Wait, what?
CO, two letter .net, for $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And when was this?
this was in 2017 or
Okay.
18. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Man, that's a
this,
nice sell.
yeah, and that happened because I did this strategy. My strategy was always this, saving and reinvesting into quality premium domains, which has a strong potential to sell. So that's how I also invested in smart.co, which this year, about 3-4 months ago, sold for about $54,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So then what extension? So you're I mean, I've heard you say .com. Obviously that's one that's kind of a safe bet, if you will. But then you've mentioned .net and now .co. So I mean, you're finding success across a number of extensions.
Mostly because this is the road less traveled.
Ah,
And everyone wants to buy quality.coms. I know because of this tough competition, it's pretty hard to, actually get it. I can give you a very good example here, Alvin. I had this domain called casino.uk.com.
mm-hmm.
Are you aware of this extension .uk.com?
No.
No, even I was not. And when I was introduced to this, I negotiated with the owner of casino.uk.com and bought this domain. And finally, I sold this domain for about £12,000. Yep, to a big company in UK, casino business.
Now, I mean, I haven't even heard of that extension. So, like, how are you finding out about these
Because
extensions?
see, the logic was simple. Casino.com is huge, right?
Right.
It's a multi-million dollar domain. Casino.co.uk was sold for £500,000.
So right, so you're willing to. So it's the thought. I guess the thought process behind that is, hey,
So
if
if
casino.com is worth multi millions, then .uk.com is likely going to be a fraction of that, and you're willing to say, hey, I'm willing to sell that and gain the fraction of it, only to then take the proceeds and likely go reinvest again.
That's right. And with they cannot get casino.co.uk or casino.com anyway. And casino.uk.com has a very high brandability sense, and with a very high click through. So if you put ads on, do Google ads, and if someone sees casino.uk.com, they'll likely click on it because they'll be like, it's a premium domain. That's how people would look at it. And and that's exactly what I was able to pitch to this UK casino business, and I was able to sell.
Interesting. So let me ask you this. So then obviously you sell that domain, you net, the 5 grand or whatever it is that you net. Then now are you still, because I know you said you're after the premium domains now, but then do you ever, because you kind of you're sitting on cash to be able to make these bigger purchases, but then I mean, are you working on a percentage that says, hey, I'm going to take 20% and reinvest it into and registration names, or how do you work that strategy out?
There's no percentage like that.
Okay.
uh, I actively keep looking for quality domains which I believe has very high potential to
Yeah.
buy. And the moment I see there's this opportunity, I just put my money in. I don't put X number of percentage in going to this, nothing like that.
Gotcha. So
To give
I mean, you're really going on gut instinct of your experience of what you've been able to sell, what you've not been able to sell, and likely where the market is, I'm assuming.
That's right. There are two things that I'm doing here. Yeah, trusting my gut instinct being one, and taking risk.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
So then do
plus
you
plus
still
I also know what I was doing with casino.uk.com. I already had an idea who could be the buyer and how much they could have paid.
Okay. So that then lowers. So I go, that's
Yeah.
not really a risk then as much as it is, because you've already done your homework, because you already
That's
had people in mind. Now, granted, that doesn't guarantee that they were going to buy it, but at least you knew that going into it, and that reduced your risk, while at the same time increased the probability for success.
that's right. So this month I bought plantshop.com.
Plant shop.
Yeah, plantshop.com. I believe it's a premium quality domain which has like an end user can immediately buy and set up a business on it.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Plantshop.com. Yeah, we'll definitely have to stay in contact with that one, because I want to know how that turns out and how long it
Uh-huh.
took you to sell it. So,
I also sold contentwriting.com for
right.
$36,000.
And content writing.
Yeah, contentwriting.com.
Really? Now, so
Yeah.
now I guess that's the other thing. Now, are these just straight out purchases, or are people, I guess, coming to you with, I guess, cold hard cash or escrow, or is it that people are having to take payment plans, or are you even witnessing people purchasing your domains through payment plans?
So 99% of the time it's always one-time purchase, and we always use escrow.com or Epic Escrow for transactions.
Oh, nice.
And for just for this contentwriting.com, the buyer did not wanted to pay that high because he did not had a lot of money in to pay one time, and that's why I pitched him to pay this amount in 6 months, and he happily agreed because he was a freelancer, content writing freelancer, and he was like he can pay bills every month. So
Oh,
and then he's already paid 2 installments by now.
wow. And now is he using that domain or is it
No, I have
okay?
not seen him using that domain yet. Maybe he's thinking he should complete everything first and then start, but he can still use it.
Oh, okay. And then I guess so. Is that something that you're, I guess, more open to be able to sell more of those types of names, or is it just that that's just kind of how it worked out?
Um, oh, I'm sorry. Which kind of names?
So like the content writing, so because you're investing in more of these premium names, and so I look at it and go like with this 2 word domain name, this .com, content writing. So obviously you likely have more of those in your portfolio. So if someone comes to you, are you more willing to take a payment plan uh,
Yes. Yes, as long
versus?
as as he, payment plans are very good. Good. I don't. As long as they are not for very long years, 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, they are very good. Uh,
Gotcha. But then once you start talking about, hey, 24 months and
yeah, and I have about 5 to 7 domains right now, which are on 12 months, 20 months, 24 months plan. So when we outreach hand-rich or closed-out domains, we don't mind them paying this amount in 2 years or 3 years, because as long as they agree to pay, that's what is much better, right?
right. You're like, as long as payment reaches me in a
Yeah.
timely fashion every month, hey, we're all good.
Yeah, so I remember selling one domain for $4,500, and they have already paid about 7, 8 installments.
Nice. Nice. So then, so how many domains do you actually own today?
About 5,000 domains.
Wow. So then how many domains, I guess, on average are you moving or selling per month?
Yeah, so I just checked out this domain that I was talking about about the installment plan. This domain is diversefinancialadvisor.com.
So that's a 3 word.
That's a 3 word.com. It was mostly a hand reg. I sold it for $3,750, and the seller did not wanted to pay all by one time, so he chose to pay $156 per month for 24 months.
Huh. Well, hey.
So, and he has already paid 9 installments so far.
And so you're working then, I mean, that's very much on the same page as like a what is it, huge domains and in terms of how they do their payment plans or
That's right.
somewhat like
Yes,
that.
yes. And it's very easy for people to just convince them to just pay $150 per month, and you don't even know it will be charged on your credit card every month. Uh,
And
and
then that way you get to secure the domain that you want.
yeah, and in the matter of 2 years, you would not even know you own that domain. Like you paid for that domain.
Interesting. That is interesting. So then, um, in terms of how you see things, so in 2020, like what do you see kind of as the emerging trends? Is there anything that you would say, hey, kind of keep your eyes on this given extension or on these types of domains? Like, do you see what, or I'm just asking, hey, what do you see from a personal standpoint as a global domain investor?
As a global domain investor, in the last 3 months, I've started seeing investors are selling domains for much cheaper.
Hmm,
That is more because I don't know about the global market, but uh, as an investor, I think this and the next 6 months is a very good time as an investor to buy quality domains. because everyone seems to want to sell it for a cheaper price. So
Interesting.
the chances of investor breaking their, I don't know why is that so, but I see that. Like I was able to acquire few domains from investors, domain investors, for quite a deal.
Hmm.
Yeah, so maybe this being one. In the next 6 months, they can start. In fact, I've increased my speed of acquisition. I bought Watch.co, I bought Coolant.com, I bought so many other domains like that.
Interesting.
Rubo.com, yeah, multicopter.com. So okay, other than this, I think
So then
I
you're seeing domain investor, or I guess you're seeing in basically domain owners rather, kind of decreasing their price, I guess, or liquidating their domains. So you're able to
that's
catch
right. Like
those at a good price.
yes,
Interesting. Interesting. Anything else that you see?
I see liquid domains of
Hmm.
any type, three-letter.coms, two-letter.com, two-letter, any extension. I see they are strengthening in value. Um, Not just them, oneword.coms are even more threatening. This year with the sale of voice.com selling for $30 million, you know, and so many other and other domains that sold for a very good price. uh, I see the market is just strengthening.
Gotcha. Now, how do you? I mean, what would you suggest to domain investors that are saying, hey, I want to get into the one word space, and obviously they may or may not have the wherewithal or financial backing to do like a .com, but what would be your advice to someone wanting to get into a one word for maybe another extension? Like, what advice do you give them in terms of how to go about finding these types of deals?
um, oneword.com exactly, or one word anything?
Or just one word anything, like,
Okay.
hey, is it, and like I said, I know definitely it kind of gets into a bit of your strategies to share with what you will, but if I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, well, is it worth getting into a one word .me versus a one word .io or one word .co?
I think .me, I don't personally like them. See, I personally like domains which has strong commercial sense.
Ah,
If you look at if you look at the pattern at all the domains that I have bought in, you will see things like plantshop.com, contentwriting.com. You will see the pattern of they being commercially viable domain. When I buy a domain, I always want to look at it as an end user. So if I'm an end user and I wanted to, and I'm looking for a good domain for a plant industry, how's plantshop.com versus plant.me?
gotcha, gotcha.
Anytime I would want to choose plantshop.com, then plant.me example, right? And if I'm not able to relate myself as an end user, I don't end up buying that domain.
Ah, gotcha. And then in terms of, I mean, do you, so is it just as easy as just sitting down and going, hey, I'm just going to think of a lot of one words that I think may have value, and then just start going to look them up in different extensions?
Yeah, so I would want to look at up with extensions that has very high potential to sell. For an example, casino keyword was very powerful. The extension didn't was not the extension. If that was a really like UK.com extension, I'm able to convince all the UK people. So I see there's a chance, right, with one word bad extension.
Gotcha. So then it became
With
more about the population of people then.
potential of brandability. I'm also a brand expert, maybe, so I see how a company would want to look at it from a brand perspective.
Gotcha.
But I have seen io.co selling for much more these days. So that's the trend. Example, getsupply.com recently moved to supply.co.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think they were shoot, if my memory serves me correct, they were actually on Shark Tank too. I can't remember if that
Yeah.
was before they made that transition. And so now, that's an interesting story in and of itself, because if you talk to most investors, they're like, hey man, they went backwards. They went from getsupply.com to a .co. Like, that doesn't make sense.
The founder of the company got on Twitter and said, I wanted to remove get from the name. I just wanted to use one word, supply. And I want the consumers to think the company is called Supply and not Get Supply.
Interesting. And I guess supply.com is already taken. I mean, I hadn't looked or
Right. And even if it is available, it is not a commercially viable idea for them to pay a price like 1 million or five or six figures, 300, 500 to just get supply.com.
yeah, because I think that they shoot. I think that because they're like a startup, right? For like razors or
Right.
something
And
like
and
that.
and and then same goes with so that's how I started buying. So I have survey.co, a very good extension for survey for a company who want to get into survey business, and just choose, you're just looking for one word, survey.co, because survey.com is out of reach.
Well, and then, I just started thinking about it. You said survey, and so I'm thinking like, okay, are we talking about online surveys? Are we talking about building surveys, land survey?
Yeah.
So you have multi-use there.
Yeah, and same for the watch, watch.co. You can track a tracker, watch as a tracker, watch as watching movies, Netflix, streaming, and watch as watches.
Man, yeah, there's so many different, because I mean, you could just brand watch, as just watch.co. And it could
Uh-huh.
be a number of different things. Now, one thing that I've noticed here, just even in some of the one words that you mentioned, especially you mentioned a smart.co, you mentioned watch.co, survey.co. So now, what about longer words? Is that something that you stay away from? So let's just, for example, let's say that there's consignment.co. Are you
I
actually apt to go after that or no?
I would, do a quick check on Google and see how many companies call themselves consignment. And
Hmm.
if there are a lot of them, I would like, and then I would see if consignment.com is developed or not developed. Because if it's a developed website, the chances of my domain selling goes down. Um, so
Interesting.
if I'm an end user, like example ST, S for Sam, T for Tom, st.net. When I bought it, I also noticed st.com is developed. So if a huge company is looking to buy a good quality domain, st.com they cannot buy because it's already a big business.
Right.
So they are left with what?
Well, they're
Uh,
left with either changing their name or they're going to a different extension.
right. And what are the options they have? .net, .co, .io, what else? .org is more of a non-profit side, right? So
Right. And plus, with the latest news of .org anyway, I mean, it's kind of up in the air. With prices, likely could be unregulated. That that's probably going to scare the common person away. But that's interesting. So you mentioned SD.net. Now, I would have thought that .nets have kind of somewhat gone by the wayside and aren't trending at any. If anything, I think more people are probably running away from them, would be the thought. But you're saying that that's not the case.
yeah, in fact, I was negotiating with the seller of st.net from last more than 1 year.
Wow.
It took me about 15 months to close this.
And but then so like so that's a two letter.
Yeah.
.net. Now, are you? I mean, are you investing in other .nets that are like 2 word, maybe 1 word, or is it just, hey, no, if I'm going to invest in .net, it probably needs to be a 2 letter or 2 character?
Uh, with .NET, I would look for the quality of the word it is. Like one word .NET with a very high potential. I would love it. Like content .NET, writing .NET. Anything like one word .NET, grid .NET,
What about something like
smart,
qualification.net?
which one?
Qualification.net, that's pretty long.
Yeah, but then with that, I would do a quick check on how many companies call themselves qualification.
Hmm.
If there are not much, I would want to stay away with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, or it makes me think of when you say qualified or qualification. I mean, there could be a number of things that could be sales related in terms of trying to qualify, leads, um, high quality leads. Or when I think about qualification, it also makes me think about um, schooling and education. How
Hmm.
one wants to qualify themselves, how one wants to educate themselves. So,
I've sold a lot of .NET domains in
really?
outreach. Yeah, things like I sold Mapify.net,
Wait, what?
Mapify, Map,
Mapify. So that's
Mapify.net.
so that's like a brandable.
Yep.
Huh.
I sold AutoWash.net.
Autowash.net. Interesting.
Yeah, Fortius.net and DiamondBroker.net.
Diamond broker.
Yeah, and sold that for $1,500.
Wow.
Yeah,
So then, I mean, you're
and
still seeing 4 figure values then, even with some 2 word, .nets in.
yeah,
I
I've
mean,
sold smartproperties.net for 1,000.
wow. When was that?
Smartproperties.net was sold on 7th October, uh, 2 months ago.
Wow. Not bad. That's
Yeah.
nice. Now do you spend any time? Because I know
Smart,
it.
okay, you should know this. I sold smartdns.net.
Really.
Guess what price it sold for? It was an outreach.
In outreach, smart DNS. Let's just go. I mean, you're on the $1,500 kick. I'm gonna probably say $2,200.
I sold my for much more than 2,200. You want to do a second guess?
Okay, let's see. If it wasn't 2,200, let's say 15,000.
Not really. I sold it for 8,500.
Okay, so well, I mean, shoot, smart
Outreach.
DNS.
Yeah.
Wow. And so now you're saying outreach. So how long? Let's just take that example. So you get smartdns.net, and how long did it take you in terms of outreach to actually? Is that something like, hey, on a Monday?
Smartdns.net was sold in exactly 106 days.
Okay, and were you doing outbound that entire time?
Yes. So from acquisition to say sold sales, it was 106 days.
And how many times are you actually, when you say outreach, how many times are you actually sending messages outbound? Is that something that you're doing every week or every day, or is it
Every day.
and is it a one-to-one communication, or is that
Yes.
a, hey, I on Monday, week 1 that I own the domain, I sent a message to 25 people. Week 7, I sent a message to an additional 40 people, or is it a one-to-one, meaning, hey, on this day I sent an email to this one company and
Yeah.
waited for the response.
So we do outreach for one time. So one time we reach out to potentially really high caliber people, which we believe has a very high potential, or it could be very helpful to them. And the moment we do, we potentially end up getting, what is the price? Hey, thank you for reaching us. What are you asking? Things like that coming.
So then you basically just outbound them with no price. You're just saying, hey, this is available on the market. And then if they respond, then that's when you start, I guess,
Yes,
beginning to size them up to be able to
the
say,
price.
okay, well, hey, let's see who this is, and then you determine the price based on that.
That's right.
Interesting. That's a good strategy. And so then, so you're finding these companies. So then, let me ask you: so how in the world? I mean, are you using something like Hunter.io, like a email finding service, or?
So this is a software that is built in house, and it's a mix of 3-4 things. One of the thing is called Spyfu. Are you aware of Spyfu?
I am.
Yeah. So with Spyfu, what it does is it's a tool. It's a paid tool. What it does is it pulls out all the people who are bidding or advertising on this keyword on Google.
Interesting. And then,
And
so then, how do you find? So I mean, does that get you to a specific person? I mean, it gets you to the company.
yeah, you just, even if you go to Spyfu and just type the keyword, it will give you a list of people who are advertising on this term.
Well, I guess when you, or I guess for clarification, when you say people, is it?
I mean, companies, websites.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you get the company and the website, and then from there you take that company and website, and I'm assuming you then try to go find actual
Who
people to connect or
on
decision
LinkedIn?
makers.
Yeah, on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and if not LinkedIn, if I'm not able to get anything there, we also try to see the About Us page and the Contact Us page and see who's the right person to reach there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, you've got this system somewhat worked out. Obviously, it's taking you. I think you said you got started in 2012, so it's taking you 7-8 years to figure this out and get it to where you now have consistent profitable sales. And so it kind of leads me to go, hey, in terms of people getting started, I mean, what would you say are some distinct keys to achieving, I guess, and sustaining um profitable domain investing, like because I know in your book now you mentioned some segments of the book of ideas around I believe it was like profitability. So I mean, kind of expound on a little bit of who your book is for, and what people can actually gain from it.
So this book, Sell Domains Fast, is for beginners and anyone who wants to get started in the industry. I think that's a very good place to get started with. It covers everything about selling. It hardly covers much about buying, but nowadays everyone thinks they're very good with buying and they're just not good with selling. So that's how I thought of Sell Domains Fast. Because people used to ping me on Facebook and other places asking me if I could help them sell that domain, and if they could do it by themselves, much better. It explains how do you outreach, how do you reach out to potential people, what tools to use, what other things to do, sort of things. And
Nice.
and
Yeah.
and and I've also listed domains on Afternic and Sido and Uniregistry, because at times I've seen that they also help in selling.
Now, do
I
you
see.
when you list them, do you list them for the same price, or are they kind of? I've seen some people have like staggered pricing models. So on Afternic, it's one price. On it's one price. On
No,
Uniregistry, it's
no,
another
no, no.
price.
There's just one price that we stick to. If with
Okay.
outreach also, we use the same price, but sometimes with outreach, we end up negotiating. And with Afternic and Sido, there's no negotiation. In fact, there's this domain called selfpublisher.com that has
Uh-huh.
sold for about $17,000 on Afternic.
And that was just a buy it now price.
Yeah, buy now price. So, and have I not listed that domain there? There was no sale. There was no payday.
So then it's a matter of, it's really a game of numbers. Obviously, for the domain investor starting out, like you said, I mean, I think there is, hey, you have to have the right um the sought after name. So you do have to have an eye for buying. But then, like you said in the book, in terms of selling fast, I think there has to be some disciplines around um, outbound approach. So, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to buy domains and I'm just going to sit back and I'm not going to do anything. And maybe people will look up on who is and they'll contact me. And
Yeah.
that's a strategy. But the reality is you're, I guess, missing out on a lot of opportunity by not listing.
See, by not listing, buyer is not aware of if the domain is for sale or not. I can give you another quick example, Alvin, here.
Sure.
I sold one domain. It's called leadership.biz.
.biz.
Yeah, leadership.biz. I'm sure you have seen the .biz coming out on Closeout and every other place
Right.
recently, right? 2 months, 3 months ago, everyone was seeing that. I sold leadership.biz for $3,000 outreach.
Wow. And so then it's really that's the arm that I think that likely is the case that most that are entering into the domain industry and domain investing industry are likely missing. Then it's like you really have to develop that strong outbound arm.
Yeah, that's one thing. Second is the quality of domain. I think that is, if that is not good, even if you do outbound, it will not end up with sales.
Correct. And I wholeheartedly agree there. Like that's square one. You have to have the right.
In fact, a domain investor wanted my team to help him with the outreach. And we did some 70, 100 domains for him, but we end up seeing the sales were hardly there,
Right.
because so that's when I also realized, okay, it's not working because of these domains, because of these things.
Right.
So
And then what do you suggest then and at that point in the ball game? Like, is that person, I mean, are they, because I look at it and I say, okay, for me personally, when I see something like that happen, I go, okay, domain investor, you have two choices here. One is you drop the domain name, or if the domain is, I go, hey, you may have to develop it into a website if it can be even developed into a website for lead generation. Or,
yep.
like I said, I mean, you're only left with those two, at least in my opinion, those two decisions of you either drop it or you develop it in hopes that, you get search ranking and you can actually flip it or turn it into profitable business.
Okay. So So if I'm not if I can buy a domain but I cannot develop it, or I don't see, I just have to think like an end user is what I would say here. Like
Gotcha.
if you think like an end user, you just ask yourself, would you buy this domain for that price you're asking? You know. And if you think, because every domain investor have some or the other business also, so they know what domain they would want to develop and what domain they would not develop, but when then they would want to sell.
Right. And I think you hit a key point of just, and I think it actually takes me back to the point that you made about Florida mold inspection.com. And so you realize as a domain investor that that's a high margin business, if you will, in terms of, or let me even not even say that, or as much as it is that the keyword, the cost per click. And so the PPC behind that is actually pretty lucrative. So you knew that going in. And so it's like, as a domain investor, those are things that you have to consider
That's right.
when you're looking at your domain and you're trying to say, and I think that, like you said, I mean, it goes back to when you're buying, you have to be in that frame of mind to say, does this thing have PPC value? Is it trending? You're looking across a multitude of factors. But you have to have those in place, because if not, then it's kind of like, hey, I don't care how much you put behind an outbound effort, like you won't be able to sell that name if it's not lucrative.
That's right.
Interesting.
So the strategy is simple, buy domains that you think you can sell, make money, and put them back into premium domains, and hold.
Right.
and let the buyer come to you and then sell for six figures.
Exactly. And so really, so then your book, so like you said, then your book really is about outbound then.
It talks about outbound. It talks about listing the domains at different marketplaces. It
Hmm.
talks about why is it important. It talks about pricing. It talks about how to price a domain correctly, what tools to use to price a domain. It talks about all the portals. It talks about name pros. It talks about it's a good idea to spend time on name pros and everything in between.
Wow. So then in terms of pricing, what's interesting, something just struck me here of, so do you use like valuation tools such as GoDaddy valuation or Go Value tool or Estabot?
Um, I I see that I use that just as a parameter, like not to decide the price exactly,
Hmm.
but to get an idea, just to get an idea.
Gotcha.
In fact, while buying, I'm finding it hard because of this Go value. Like I was negotiating one domain with a seller. I wanted to buy that domain, but he says, as per GoDaddy appraisal, it is valued at this price, and I will not sell less than that price. So that has become a challenge, and I'm not able to. I tried convincing that just a piece of code and everything, but he's an absolute beginner. He doesn't know anything in domains, and he
Gotcha.
just says that I see this is the value. It shows up when I look in the dashboard.
He's like, cut me a check for that value and nothing less.
Yeah, and I'm stuck there. We have been negotiating for that domain for 2 months now.
Wow.
So
Wow, that is interesting. So then wrapping up, I mean, obviously you have quite the experience being a global domain investor, obviously living in India. And so what would be your advice to someone, wanting to start domain investing heading into 2020?
so if this person is a complete beginner, maybe they can start with reading my book, and maybe they should learn more than just because what I've seen as a beginners, what I've seen is people are just so excited about searching and buying any domain and believing that it is very valuable. I have done the same mistake when I started. I used to buy domains that were so bad that
Me too.
when I look back at those domains, I'm like, no, that was not me. So
So then
yeah,
how long would you suggest? I mean, obviously
the,
there is no magic, answer or silver bullet here that's going to be like, oh, wait 7 months and in 7 months you'll be profitable. But,
I think the smartest idea would be to just like be be an be a observer first. Observe what is happening every day on name bio, every day on DN, every week on DN journal, what kind of domains are selling, for what price they are selling. If you open that, so if you see it something sold for 50,000, go open that website, what they are doing with it. Try and do a back, like, that is one good way of observing first. And when you start getting confident that, okay, I understand what kind of domains to buy now, then to put some money. It's far much better to buy a domain for $200, $300 at an auction than buying, you know, 20 $10 $5 domains which you think could sell someday.
right, yeah, because that someday maybe 10 years from now versus
No, because next year you would not want to renew them and you have lost it. But if it's a $200, $300 domain that you got it in an auction, there's just one domain that you would want to renew, and the chances of the quality of that domain is better because other bidders are also bidding there.
right, right.
So
Now that
you are
makes
not.
perfect sense.
Yes, and only when you are confident, I think the best way to get in is to start with the niche or the industry which you are more aware of.
Ah,
Like, uh,
so staying in your lane of expertise then.
Yeah, so that makes it much easier because now you know the industry better. You can even talk to the founders of that industry and might be able to sell in much better way than you would if you don't know about that industry.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So then I guess last but not least, is there anything
And
else that you'd like
yes,
to share with listeners?
yes, no, do not buy trademark domains. Uh,
Exactly. Don't do it.
Yeah, because it's because there's a chance you might pay up much more than your price to buy. Uh, I have someone reached out to me about a year ago. He said he has FacebookWorld.com and he wants to sell it for $1 million and he can give me 40% share if it sells.
Yeah, about that.
So, so that was a good example that I remember back in my mind because I was like, there was a clear trademark violation, and the chances of that domain selling is zero. Plus, there's a higher risk involved if they reach out to you.
Right.
With yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, I would love to hear. I really like to connect and network, and that's why I've been attending these conferences at NamesCon and Las Vegas and others at other places. So I'd love to, connect with anyone who would want to ask me questions or
Yeah.
get in touch
So
just to say
are
hi.
you coming to NamesCon 2020, which is in my backyard, Austin, Texas?
Yes, I'm coming to NamesCon 2020, and I might come
Nice.
down to your place also, which is very near.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll be good, man. It'll be good to catch up. Like I said, I mean, it's been 2 years since we had a chance, and obviously, I mean, we've exchanged messages there in LinkedIn and whatnot. And so, I guess to wrap things up, if somebody wants to reach out to you, either email or what website can they find you at?
Aishwin.com takes me to my LinkedIn profile or Facebook. They can add me on Facebook, or
Okay.
I'm always online on Skype. So Skype ID is Aishwin V, like my last name's first initial V.
Gotcha.
And
So Ashwin,
ISHWIN.
AISHWIN for the win. So definitely feel free to reach out to Ashwin. So with that, we're out of time. So Ashwin, man, thank you again for joining us today and sharing your domain investing and development journey, as well as your insight for buying and selling of domain names as a global domain investor. So thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Elvin. It was nice being with you today.
Yeah, definitely. And so thank you for listening and tuning in to Kickstart Commerce, where we share search marketing and domain name strategies to help grow your business. Please subscribe to this podcast via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Podbean. Last but not least, please visit kickstartcommerce.com to subscribe to the weekly newsletter sharing tips and tricks about the disciplines of digital strategy. Thanks, and that's all for now.